Hey up, it's the Blunt Yorkshireman here, providing you with bracing opinion on all things pop culture. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my all-time favourite films, 1984's The Terminator, directed by James Cameron and starring Castleford Barbell champion Arnold Schwarzenegger. So take off the wellies, make this in a cup of Tetley's tea and sit back and enjoy the video. Like Emmerdale, The Terminator is a Yorkshire favourite. It's grittier than a night out down Attercliffe, bleaker than a storm on Ilkley Moor, and darker than a good pint of stout. I won't bore you with plot details because chances are you already know it if you're watching this video, but it's intense from start to finish. A ruthless pursuit of Sarah Connor, the key to mankind's future salvation, by an unstoppable and murderous cyborg sent back from future. The only thing standing in the way of the cyborg turning Sarah into Lincolnshire mincemeat is Kyle Reese, a young guerrilla soldier who's also been sent back from future. I absolutely loved the darkness and the pace of the film and the fantastic dark ending. Although Kyle's successful in keeping Sarah safe, there's no stopping the future annihilation of billions of people, and presumably Yorkshire sheep, by Skynet, the supercomputer which turned on humanity and created the ruthless and murderous cyborgs. It were before dark endings had become a cliche, so it before the likes of Seventh, Joker, and it were before BBC News bulletins were full of doom and gloom. Back in 1984, this type of film was very original. Now, Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 were masterpieces, but the only gripe I have with the saga is the forgetting about Kyle Reese and his importance in the franchise. This also leaves us forgetting about Michael Biehn's absolutely fantastic performance in The Terminator. So, why is it that Michael Biehn and Kyle Reese have ended up being a bit forgotten? Firstly, I think it's because Michael Biehn never became a megastar, scaling the dizzy heights of Tom Cruise or Yorkshire opening batsman Geoffrey Boycott. We all know that Arnie did. He starred in films like Predator and True Lies, and of course he ran for local Labour councillor, didn't he, back in America at some point. Michael Biehn never reached these levels of fame. Although he starred in Aliens and The Abyss and was great in them, he never became a blockbuster star. I'm really glad to hear though he's appearing in The Mandalorian, so it'll be good to see him back in mainstream next year. I think another reason why we tend to forget about him is he weren't in Terminator 2. As you know, Terminator 2 were a massive mega smash hit. It was everywhere in 1991 and 1992. It had all them great special effects, Guns N' Roses music, a fantastic storyline, and of course it made Arnie an absolute megastar. Biehn, of course, weren't in it, and I think if he had been, he would have been a bit more remembered than what he is. I suppose it's a bit like bunking off school on last ever day of term when class photo's taken so you end up not being on it. Your classmates then don't remember you for the rest of their life. Don't forget I live up in Yorkshire, so we don't have Facebook or Friends Reunited as yet. It's also annoying because Michael Biehn was supposed to be in the film and did film for it. He did that scene, didn't he, when he met Sarah as a ghost or whatever, a vision when it were in jail, and he G'd her up and that. Unfortunately, Linda Hamilton didn't like the scene, and back then she was James Cameron's wife and nagged at him to delete it. Typical nagging wife. But anyway, it's such a shame. Oh, and let's not forget that monstrosity from other year, Terminator Dark Fate. You remember that one? It's one that turned Arnie into Nora Batty and starred them three lasses that looked like blokes. There were no mention of Reese in that film at all, almost like he didn't exist. Although I'll have to say it's probably for the best because knowing how that film was, they'd have probably turned him into Marlon Dingle and had him falling over in a vat of dung in the first 5 minutes and dying. So what are consequences of forgetting about Kyle Reese and of course forgetting about Michael Biehn? But firstly, I think we missed the fact that the Terminator is actually about Kyle Reese. He drives the narrative, he tells the story of the future through those flash forwards and those nightmares. And of course, through his chats to Sarah, when he's lying in car, it always makes me laugh the way the poor lass has just been shot at, and he's then just shouting at her about all technical details about robots. I'm telling you, his mother must have been turning in a grave. With charm like that, he'll never get wed. And let's not forget Michael Biehn seconding credits on start and at end. He's the main male character in film. Arnie has less lines than a grumpy old bloke catching bus from Neep's End. So Michael Biehn is that lead actor at film. Not only is Michael Biehn the main star, but Kyle Reese is the hero of the film. If it wasn't for Reese, Sarah's head would have been exploded all over that bloke in Miami Vice suit who was dancing away in Tech Noir. Now that would have been some big cleaning bill, wouldn't it? Crockett's eyes would have fallen out. I think another problem is we end up forgetting about Kyle Reese's character arc. Don't forget, he goes from that ardent soldier to somebody who becomes a little bit softer and generally starts to care about Sarah. I suppose it's a bit like the steelworker who's been working down Don Valley with blokes who look at porn and tell blue jokes at lunchtime, for him to then go and work in Betty's tea house where he's dealing with young kids and old biddies. It's a startling transformation. I think it's a bit of a mistake to think that Sarah Connor's character arc is the most important thing in film. Apart from crushing Terminator and ending that factory that looks like one near Doncaster railway sidings, she don't really do a lot. She's mostly a damsel in distress. I think for me, her real character arc comes into fruition in Terminator 2, where Linda Hamilton really gets her action chops going. Finally, and sadly, I think this leads us to forget about Michael Biehn's fantastic performance in film. For me, he steals the show. He's intense, and he gives a sense of how desperate the situation is. He literally is a man who will not stop until Sarah's safe, and he's almost at crazed levels in his mission. Biehn shows he can do a range of emotions, going from ardent soldier to someone who's got a bit more of a sensitive side. I mean, there can't be many actors out there who could turn a scene that involves building bombs into a romantic situation. I suppose Bin Laden did that in Cave, didn't he, given the old kids he had, but it takes a special kind of talent. You've also got to give the man credit. He's able to pull a bird with big tits, despite wearing trousers that were tramps and are probably covered in booze and piss. I think if you remove Michael Biehn from The Terminator, the film will be really missing something. I think if you replaced him with another actor, say someone like Derek Thompson from Casualty, I think you'd then notice just how much Michael Biehn is a quality actor and how much he makes the film what it is. I honestly don't think you can say the same for Linda Hamilton. I think if you replaced her with somebody else, it wouldn't make too much of a difference. Don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing Linda Hamilton. She's a nice lass and a decent actress, and I think she really, really does a stellar performance in Terminator 2. But for me, Biehn not being in the Terminator is a bit like having your Yorkshire Sunday roast without the gravy. So hopefully, I've done Kyle Reese and Michael Biehn a bit of justice there, unlike the pickets at the Battle of Orgreave. I think I might do a few more videos over the coming months, probably one about that new Star Wars trilogy, although before I do that I'll have had to have a few down at the Legion. So I better go now because I've got farm to get back to. There's an herd of cattle coming down road and I need to spend the afternoon shoveling shit. I'll see you.